Hi, welcome back. We're on page 48. We're talking about lesson 1.7. We're going to learn two more properties of integer exponents. Page 48, two more properties. So let's start with the zero exponent property. Okay, so this property says any number to the zero power is 1. Any number to the zero power is 1. So for example, 7 to the zero power equals 1. -3 to the zero power is 1. And I'll get to why that is true in just a minute. But any number to the zero power is 1. Okay, so the other property that we're going to learn is a negative exponent property. So when you have a number to a negative exponent, you're going to make it a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it, and then you're going to flip that fraction. That gets rid of the negative on your exponent. So if it's already a fraction, just flip it back. Flip it the other way, and it'll get rid of the negative on your exponent. So for example, if you have 7 to the -6 power, okay, so that negative exponent means you're going to make this whole thing a fraction. You're going to put a 1 underneath it, and then you're going to flip that. So 1 over 7 to the 6th power, and that gets rid of the negative. That would be your final answer. And then you could do 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 6 times to find that exact bottom number, but it would be 1 over that. Okay, so let's just do a couple of these. So 1,999,999 to the zero power is 1. Any number to the zero power is 1. Okay, so now when you have a negative exponent, remember, and we just did this one, you're going to make it a fraction, and you're going to flip the fraction. So you have 1 over 7 to the 6th. That would be your final answer. Okay, now if it's already a fraction, let's look at this one underneath it right here. Notice this has a negative exponent. We need to solve that, but it's already a fraction. So you're going to flip this fraction. So the 10 cubed moves to the top, the 1 moves to the bottom, and then 10 cubed over 1 is just 10 cubed. You don't need the 1 anymore. Okay, so now this is why that works. This is why it is that way. So take a look at number 7 on page 49. So let's solve these powers, and then we'll see what we have. Okay, so 4 to the 4th power, 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 is 256. 4 to the 3rd, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 to the 1 power is just 4. And now 4 to the 0 power we'll get to in just a minute. Why is it 1? Well, if you look at each one of these answers, okay, so each one of these exponents is decreasing by 1 exponent at a time. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. These bases are decreasing by dividing by 4. So if you took 256 and you divided that by 4, you're going to get 64. Let's keep dividing by 4. 64 divided by 4 is 16. Let's divide by 4 again. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And let's divide by 4 again. 4 divided by 4 is 1. That's why no matter what, any number to the 0 power is always going to equal 1. Now, why do negative exponents, why do you flip them and make them a fraction, basically? Okay, so if this is 4 squared, 4 to the 1st, 4 to 0, the next one would be 4 to the -1 power, correct? If we're counting down with our exponents, 4 to the -1. Okay, so basically what I said to do was make this a fraction, right? And flip it. So you'd have 1 over 4 to the 1, which is just 1/4, correct? Okay, so now if you take this one and you keep dividing by 4, your base, 1 divided by 4 looks like this, 1 divided by 4. So you get the 1/4 that we got by making it a fraction and flipping it. Okay, and if we kept going, we're going to keep getting fractions because we keep having more negative exponents. Okay, so let's just try a few of these. -3.2 to the 0 power is 1. Any number to the 0 power is 1. Okay, now if you take a look at these down here, this says compare using greater than, less than, or equal. So let's solve these. This side, this is a negative exponent, so you're going to make it a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it if it's not a fraction yet. You're going to flip that, so this would be 1 over 3 squared. And then 1 over 3 squared is 1 over 9. 3 times 3 is 9, 1/9. So this side's 1/9 and this side's 1. Well, a whole number is always bigger than a fraction, so that 1 is going to be greater than that. So now take a look at this side. You have 1/4 to the 0 power, so that's 1. Any number to the 0 power is 1. This equals 1, so these two are actually equivalent. Okay, and let's do this one, negative exponent. So to fix that negative on your exponent, you're going to make it a fraction. You're going to flip that fraction, so 1 over 9/4, and then you could actually go a step further and do 1 over 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 if you wanted. And then this one is already a fraction, so to fix that negative, flip that fraction. So 2 to the 6th moves to the top, 1 moves to the bottom, and then 2 to the 6th just stays on top. We don't need the 1 on the bottom anymore. Okay, so now you might be asked to take it a step further and simplify something like this, 9y to the 0. And it says simplify the expression for y equals 3. So we're going to plug in 3 for the y. Now this is what you must do on these. Okay, so you must separate these. 9 next to y means 9 times y to the 0. Okay, so this will make it a lot easier to solve because you're going to do something different with each base. So now we're going to plug in 3 for the y. So this is 9 times 3 to the 0. Okay, so only the 3 has the 0 power. So 3 to the 0 power is 1. So this is really 9 times 1, which is 9. 9 would be your final answer for this one. Okay, let's go back up to these up here, number 10, and we're going to do the exact same thing. This says simplify each expression for x is 6. So we're going to plug in 6 to these x's, but the first thing we need to do is separate these. Okay, so this is 12 next to x means 12 times x to the 0 times x to the -4th. Okay, so, oops, that's a little blurry. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do is separate each base with the times sign. Now let's plug in 6 to these x's. So we have 12 times 6 to the 0 times 6 to the -4th. Okay, so now you're going to bring the 12 down, times any number to the 0 power is 1. So now that's 12 times 1, times. Now you're going to make this a fraction and you're going to flip it because it has a negative exponent. So this is 1 over 6 to the 4th. Now you're going to multiply straight across. If these two were fractions, they'd have a 1 underneath. So multiply everything on top straight across. 12 times 1 times 1 is 12. And then everything on bottom. 1 times 1 is 1 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 is 1,296. And then you could actually reduce this and divide both of these by 12. So you'll get 1 over 108. Okay, you're going to do the exact same thing for this one. 14 next to x squared means 14 times x to the -2 power. Let's plug in 6 now for the x. So 14 times 6 to the -2. You're going to make this a fraction and flip it. So this is going to be 14 times 1 over 6 squared. Now you're going to multiply straight across. So 14 times 1 is 14. And then 6 times 6 would be 36 on the bottom. And then because these are both even numbers, you could divide both of these by 2 and get 7/18. I hope that helps.